Halloween.
Forever.
All right, so this guy goes in a restaurant, Steve. Good evening, by the way, Steve.
Good evening, Brian.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this guy, he goes into a restaurant, right? He orders the soup du jour. They bring out soup of the day for you uncultured swine out there. Brings him his soup. Guy takes a bite, flags down the waiter, says, "Excuse me, waiter, the soup is cold." Waiter says, "It's gazpacho." The guy says, "Sorry, gazpacho, this soup is cold." Boys and girls, to chili minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
I started out with wanting to do a cold joke, but we've done so many between, our Jack Frosts, right, and our various Christmas horrors that we've done. I feel like I've done so many cold winter snow jokes. I thought I'll do a cold joke, but let's make it about like food temperature,
Yeah, it's chilly. Yeah,
I figure people appreciate that. Or not.
I mean, it's just chilly.
Yeah, it's just chilly.
Chilly.
Reference to the movie we are about to talk about, which is an absolute motherfucking treat, you guys. I'm eager to see if how many of our listeners out there are familiar with this movie. Before we talked about it, we're going to be talking about Frostbiter, aka Frostbiter: The Wrath of the Wendigo, aka Wendigo, from 1995. Steven, when we were talking about what to do on this here episode, we didn't have anything planned. So you were like, "You watch anything wacky lately?" And I said, "Boy, howdy have I." And I put this on your radar. This was, correct me if I'm wrong, new to you, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
One of our good fallbacks for when we're filling up the month of episodes is if we don't have anything new that we can do, and we just didn't have time to go out and see the monkey to get the episode recorded and anything like that. One of our fallbacks is find the wackiest shit we just watched, which is how you get awesome episodes like our Boxer's Omen episode,
sure,
or that Indian film that was basically a ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street, which is Mahal. And I am so happy to say that Frostbiter: Wrath of the Wendigo just enters right into that same pantheon of insane, overstimulating films.
Yeah. This is a movie that I stumbled across just playing. This completely reinforces my words that I live by. I would go as far as to say a mantra in my life, which is just open yourself up, give yourself to Tubi, if you will, right? In the form of Tubi Roulette. I play Tubi Roulette with myself quite frequently, whereas, for all of our faithful listeners at home will know, we've done this for episodes many a times. Literally, you go on Tubi, you go to the horror section, and you just scroll and scroll and scroll until you don't feel like scrolling anymore, and then you let it rip, you release, and then whatever you land on, you got to watch. And that's how I landed on Frostbiter: Wrath of the Wendigo, and fell in love. I'm going to say it took me 6 minutes to fall madly in love with this movie. And I will watch this movie undoubtedly 100 times between now and the rest of my, between now and the end of my life. So it was an absolute treat. I'm eager to see what you thought about it. I hope it hit all the boxes we were looking for here, because it is absolute fucking chaos. And frankly, blown away that this was not on my radar already.
Yeah, that's what's shocking is like that. Yeah. I mean, it was a stumble upon for you and it was completely new for me. But then like even just today, I posted on our social media of like, I just took a still from the film and I was like, is there anybody out there who can guess what we're doing for Monday's episode? And there's likes on those posts, but there's no replies.
Yeah.
So just like it is just this buried gem that exists out there for everybody to discover. And we're telling you now, you have to go discover it. It's the only film I've ever seen that has not one, but 2 songs about chili.
The the original soundtrack of this film is an apps. I mean, it's maybe the height of the movie. I mean, that and just some wacky, obviously practical effects, some bizarre decisions, and then some like really impressive stop motion animation out of nowhere. Like, this movie is one of those movies which did not, like you said, it just doesn't seem like it's really ever seen the light of day. I feel like I'm sure they are like hardcore, VHS horror nerds who are like, of course I know this movie, but like I'm pretty close to, I'm not the most hardcore by any stretch of the imagination, but like I've never even heard of this movie until I watched it. And this is one of those movies that hits all those boxes. And I think most of those boxes we talk about, like the silliness, the earnestness, the cool visuals, the wacky acting and dialogue, like, but it does it all. I mean, I guess it checks all those boxes because this is one of those movies that is 100% a labor of love. You could just tell the people who made this was a labor of love film. Nobody got rich on this movie at all. In fact, I would imagine most people involved got substantially less rich as a result of this movie. But it is just a fucking treat. They put their all into it. And I'm super excited to talk about it. And I'm obviously itching to talk about it. But before we get into to the feature presentation of the evening, guys, we got a couple of things we got to do at the top of the motherfucking show. First of all, Stephen D, got a beer you're sipping on tonight?
I got a beer ski. Yeah. And, I love my abjuration, right?
Sure.
I love that.
I know you do.
Sometimes they put out the Gloop Glop.
Yeah.
They put out the slop. They put out the full of berries. But you know what? They've been putting out a bunch of stuff lately that's not that.
Really?
And so yeah. So like I went up to Creekside and just going through the selection. They had a dry Irish stout that's out right now. I didn't pick it up, but it's out there. They have an ESB that I did pick up, but I haven't got to that yet. And then they also have a Polish style lager.
Interesting.
I enjoy the can art because it's a super simple can art of just the Polish flag as the wraparound for the can art. But it's pretty good. It's clean drinking, and it has just a little bit of a spice to it from the hop. Yeah. I don't know this hop offhand, but maybe you do. The Marynica.
Yeah, there's a handful of Polish hop varieties out there, and then there was like 2 or 3 Polish hop varieties that you could regularly find like 10 years ago. And then I think they've probably crossbred those with other, noble hop varieties. And now you have some deeper Polish, since Polish pills has kind of become a little bit of a thing, although on a small scale in recent years amongst craft breweries, I think you could probably get some additional Polish hop varieties, but I'm not familiar with that one specifically.
Okay. Yeah. It's Marynica and Lubelski.
Yeah, that one is the one that's been around for quite a while in various incarnations.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, but yeah, it's not as clear as maybe the style dictates. I'm not sure, but it is really just easy drinking and just kind of fruity, but not like, not a fruit beer, but it has like fruity notes and then like a dry finish and then just a little bit of that spice. That's like similar to a Saaz, but you can tell it's not a Saaz.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, nice. Well, speaking of lagers, of tasty lagers, I had a couple of them last night, and then I had some English beers. Actually, I went to the soft opening of the new Burgers location up in beautiful Millvale. Had some nice lager beers up there, and then on the way back through, stopped over with our old pal Malcolm Frazier. And we were actually at his brewery. We were at
Late Edition.
Late Edition. Yeah. So we stopped, had a couple beers up at Late Edition, and they're making some nice beers too. Little tiny spot tucked away up in the north side of Pittsburgh. For those of you who are familiar with the north side, you might know where the great old stalwart of the north side, Nikki's Thai Kitchen, which everybody loves, right across the street pretty much from Nikki's Thai Kitchen. So we had some beers. So had some, but we're not drinking. I'm not personally drinking laggy beers tonight. I am tucking into on this brisk, cold February Eve. I am drinking on one of my favorite beers from one of my favorite breweries. This is my annual 6-pack that I pick up every year. Drink a few of them, put a few of them on the shelf in the cellar. This is your 2025 edition of Sierra Nevada Bigfoot Barley Wine. I'm sipping on a big sumbitch. Big, what is it this year? I mean, it's usually just under 10%, 9.6%. Big sumbitch here. Tasty as always. And like I said, I'll drink a few of them. I'll put a few of them in the cellar, and then drink them a couple years from now, and they'll continue to get better and better. So I don't know. I've been on a little bit of a barley wine kick lately, to be honest with you. I'm actually going to brew a barley wine. I'm planning on brewing a couple beers here in the next week. Couple big ones. It's just big beer time of year. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm brewing me a Doppelbock. I'm gonna brew me a barley wine. I think maybe probably an English barley wine. I got to get back. It's been like a year since I brewed something, so I got to get back to that.
Yeah. It's been a while since I brewed anything too. But I was thinking about it. Just like I was watching a YouTube channel, and it was, I don't know if you've ever seen the Distill It YouTube channel, where it's like a guy from New Zealand who does good distilling practices, but then also does like wacky fucking brew stuff. And he's been collaborating with a lot of brewers and mead makers lately. And so like they were doing an episode with, just like a flight of crazy meads. And like one of them was like a Baja Blast mead, and another one was a fucking a Monster energy drink mead. But I was like,
straight up poison. If you distill that and you inject it into your veins, you foam at the mouth, you get super strength, and then you die within 4 hours.
Yeah. It's they call it the crank disease. Is like, it's what it does. It explodes your heart, but you will fucking fuck like a stallion and lift a car before you die.
Over your head. Not even like, lift it up to free somebody from underneath. I mean, you will press slam a
No, it's full on Goldberg gorilla press. But but no, just watching that video reminded me of the time I brewed a raspberry blueberry Carolina Reaper stout. I was like, yeah, fuck, I haven't made that beer in forever. It's actually like really good. I want to make that again.
Raspberry, what was it? Raspberry
blueberry Carolina Reaper stout.
Jesus Christ.
It's really good. It's only like 4.5%. It's a dry Irish stout, but it is like, it's fruity and then super spicy, and it makes like people choke and turn red, which is funny to me. But.
See, this is and I love spicy, right? Mm-hmm. I love an aggressively spicy thing. Carolina Reaper is a bad tasting pepper. That's the problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I love habanero. Genuinely love habanero. Now I'm not sitting here eating, raw habanero. I'm not like one of these psychopaths, but I love habanero flavored things that have the flavor of habanero, like a habanero hot sauce. Mm-hmm. I gravitate towards, same thing with jalapenos. I love jalapeno flavored things. Yeah. A Serrano is a nice, yummy pepper.
Oh yeah. I love a Serrano.
But a Carolina Reaper is a genuinely bad tasting pepper. It tastes like poison.
Yeah. I think anything hotter than like the ghost pepper it just does not have a flavor to it.
It's just pure pain. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like different levels of like choking and, gasping for air and snot coming out of your nose.
Yeah. Well, we got the beersies out of the way here. Let's we're about to actually in a hot sec here select our movies for our March Showdown episode. Believe it or not, it's right around the corner here. But before we do that, Stephen, we are coming up on the very last episode, which we were going to record last week, but your boy was not feeling great. So we're going to record it this upcoming week, of Youth Group is Forever, our February episode of it. And then we're going to kick off in March with our new Patreon exclusive podcast series. Stephen, why don't you tell the boils and ghouls at home how they can get their hands on a sumbitch and podcasts such as them?
Yeah. So what you want to do, you want to go on to patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever and then sign up for the $5 tier. There is an introductory tier that gets you like a 7-day free trial or whatever, and you can read through reviews that I post. But $5, that gets you the reviews, that gets you the bonus episodes that we're just talking about, and it gets you into the Discord so you can hang out and talk with us as we're recording episodes live. That also gets you the episodes as soon as they're recorded, and they're unedited because I don't have time to. I can't edit live. You know how impossible that is? It's impossible possible.
That's not how editing works.
That's not how any of this works.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And obviously we love having our friends join us in the Discord and chat us up, especially when we're talking about absolutely fucking insane right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies or whatever. I assume absolute dog shit Steve's going to put my way here starting next week.
So I feel like the movies that we're going to be watching starting in March with this new series, a lot of them are bad.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us have seen any of them in a long time.
Okay.
And I feel like there's a possibility one or two of them just might turn out to be good.
Okay.
It's possible.
Interesting.
But I know I have loaded up some fucking stinkers in there purposely, and some of them are just embarrassing. So, yeah. So yeah, you can look forward to that. It's not as intentionally malicious as Youth Group is Forever was, or Family is Forever was. I'm not being intentionally malicious with all the films.
Okay.
Only half of them probably.
Okay. I mean, these are all hints for me because I have to remind our listeners that I don't know what this new series is going to be. It's going to be announced on our last episode of Youth Group is Forever. So if you want to be involved with that, if you want to listen live when I learn what the new topic is going to be, you better get on over there on patreon.com/Halloween is Forever pretty damn quick. And then we'll post on the Patreon whenever we're going to record. And like you said, you can join us live in the Discord if you so choose. Also, you get an extra vote in all of our polls for our Showdown topics. That's just one of the tiny little perks included if you subscribe to the Patreon. And if you're new to the show, you might be saying to yourself, well, goddamn, what's a Showdown episode? Well, hold your fucking horses, and I'll tell you here. 1 second. Here's what it is. Every single Monday, we put out some spicy, sticky, sweet, savory, umami-laden content on the internet. However, the first Monday of every month is something extra special where we do what's called a Showdown episode. Sometimes we have guests on. Sometimes we go up against our Patreon subscribers who might pick a movie. So what happens is we pick a bunch of topics. They're on this big ass spinny wheel. We got like a freaking 100-something of them on there. We spin the spinny ass wheel. We get 3 of them. We put it out on the social medias, and y'all vote on which ones you want to select. It'll be maybe it'll be a particular subgenre of horror. Maybe it'll be performer, some sort of theme, something like that. You guys vote on it. We pick one, and then each one of us, myself, Steve, and then either our guests or our Patreon listeners will suggest their movie. We'll each pick a movie associated with that topic, and then we'll have a goddamn slobber knocker wherein we will all discuss each one of those movies. We'll argue about it. We'll talk shit on the other movies. We'll eventually vote, and then someone will take home that son of a bitchin' championship strap for that month. Steven took it in February. At long last, the belt is back with Steven. And then the very next episode, we get a punishment episode handed down from the champ. Because, of course, to the victor go the spoils. You may remember last episode where we spun the spinny ass wheel, or was that 2 episodes ago?
2 episodes ago, we spun the spinny ass wheel.
Yep. Two times ago we spun the spinny ass wheel, and so the winning topic. Oh yes, because of course last week we announced the winning topic, which was of course Victorian horror. Your boy, who is famously fucking stupid, had in my head for some reason that horror on the battlefield, which is one of the other options, were what won. So I came fully equipped with 4 selections for horror on the battlefield. And then before we started recording, I was like, oh, we're going to pick our horror on the battlefield. Steve was like, no, Victorian horror. I was like, fuck. So I had to hurry up, scramble, come up with a Victorian horror selection. So it is, I'm pleased with the one that I selected, but I'm eager to learn what the Patreon in this instance, because we're going back to the Patreon format for the upcoming episode, as opposed to having a guest like we did the last couple of months, and see what Steven has as well. But because Steve won the Showdown topic, he gets to technically pick the order in which we discuss these, right? Or in which we choose, rather, our selection. So, Steve, I assume you're going to go first, or are you going to wait and see? But actually, you know what the Patreon are going to have, right?
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to go last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just want to make sure you lock in yours before I lock in mine.
Okay, so, fair enough.
But yeah, our patrons, I put it up to our patrons, and from Dan, he has, he was pushing this movie even before I announced that it was going to be a patron episode. He actually wanted one of us to do it, but then it wound up, his film is going to be represented by the patrons. So Dan picked Black Sunday from 1960, directed by one Mario Bava.
Yeah, a Bava classic, Black Sunday. Excited to watch. I feel like I watched this not that long ago. Did Joe Bob do it, or was it on Svengoolie or something? I feel like I watched it like on TV not that long ago, because it was on like one of the horror host shows or something like that. But a perennial classic, going all the way back to 1960. Okay. I am going to jump a scant 34 years into the future, to the year of our Lord, 1994, just 1 year prior to the release of my new favorite movie, Frostbiter: The Wrath of the Wendigo. I am going to talk about a movie which I could have swore we had done an episode on. This is a theme. I think we've done every movie, and it turns out we haven't, just because we mentioned it at one point, and maybe I recorded an episode in my brain. I am going to talk about the often maligned Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And you know what, from 1994, starring the great Robert De Niro, Bobby D, you guys, to me, because we're pals. And you know what? We might even talk about the video game for Super Nintendo as well, which is a real treat. This movie, I remember when I watched it, I didn't see it in theater or anything, but I think, it was assumedly in the late 90s. I rented it at Blockbuster or something like that. Maybe down at Eagle Video, perhaps. And I remember thinking, this movie is not great. And I didn't like it because I grew up watching all the Universal monster movies like crazy. I loved all that stuff, still do. And this was very, very different. And then I read the book, like in probably high school. And then I actually reread the book just this past fall, and really appreciated it a lot more than when I did when I was dumb young and full of cum back in the early 2000s. And I really loved it. And the whole modern Prometheus angle thing, I just appreciate it a lot more. And it got me thinking about this movie. And I went back and watched it. I want to say about around Christmas time. And I was like, this movie fucking rules. It's much, much closer to the original novel, obviously. And I think that's why, some of the folks who saw it back in the mid 90s didn't like it so much. So I'm going to go with 1994's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah. I probably haven't seen that movie since it was on VHS, or maybe just a random, Fox 53 Sunday afternoon movie or whatever. I do remember the kind of winter set pieces where the ship is stranded and it's all frozen. I remember those set pieces being pretty cool, but I haven't seen that film in so long. So yeah, I just wanted you to lock that movie in because you mentioned before we started recording, you had mentioned doing Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Yes.
And if you would pick that, I just would have went with Nosferatu 2024. Like it's just like I love Coppola's Dracula. He directs the fuck out of that movie.
Yeah, I love it too. And we were talking because I'm actually currently reading Bram Stoker's Dracula. Similar situation. I haven't read it since I was, a child, and so I'm like, hey, can I go back and maybe I'll go back and appreciate it in the same way, I did Mary Shelley. I'm about halfway through the book. Obviously, no surprises because I've read it before and I know the story well. But spoiler alert: Dracula, the book, not nearly as good as Frankenstein. Like, not fucking close.
No. But it's
not
still
even close. But people talk about it very much in the same vein. And Bram Stoker's old Irish drunk ass could not hold a fucking candle to Mary Shelley. Not even fucking close.
But I mean, as both those works played off of each other, it's very obvious that the 1994 Frankenstein, was inspired by the 1992 Dracula.
Sure.
Because the 1992 Dracula was a lot closer to the book in the way that it presented itself, especially with Keanu Reeves, for a lot of the film writing in his little journal. And then Coppola had to figure out ways to like he's writing in his journal, but then like there's a choo-choo train in the background with his split diopter kind of fucking effect going on. God, that fucking movie is so good, but I'm not picking it because it's too good. It's too good. It's
too good.
It's an automatic win. I'm sorry, Brian. Like, it's just an automatic win. I'm going to put Meg Rails on myself.
Okay.
So instead, I'm going to take a bit of a flying leap on a film that I haven't seen, but this is a good excuse to get me to watch it. But I trust in the director that, this film is still better than 1994 Frankenstein. I'm going to do 2015's Crimson Peak by Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. 2015. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen this movie either. Although, interestingly enough, when I thought that it was horror on the battlefield, I was very strongly considering doing The Devil's Backbone.
Yeah.
From 2001, which is, of course, Guillermo del Toro as well, which was, I think, his first kind of like really significant budget movie, if I'm not mistaken. One of his first films where it was like given a real substantial budget.
I think so too. Yeah.
But no, I have not seen Crimson Peak from 2015. I'm excited to check that out.
You know what? Actually, Mimic is probably his first.
Oh, yeah, but wasn't that the one where like it was like a bunch of production issues and shit, and like he didn't really have creative freedom? It was he didn't have creative freedom or anything. Yeah, The Devil's Backbone is like a very much him film. Yeah. But yeah, I think 1997 Mimic is his first kind of this is a break into the American scene, which gets him a paycheck, which then allows him to make The Devil's Backbone. So, yep. All right. So just to recap here, we are going to be talking about Black Sunday from 1960, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994, and Crimson Peak from 2015 for our Showdown episode, which is coming up goddamn next week already. It's coming up real quick here. So get ready for that. All right. Without further ado, we got to get into this motherfucking masterpiece, this modern masterpiece, which I feel has just been just simmering below the surface of the collective consciousness of America, of the zeitgeist, if you will, since 1995. And it's time for its coming out party. It's time to delve into Frostbiter: Wrath of the Wendigo from 1995. You can find this, of course, streaming on Tubi. I think it's streaming also if you've got a subscription to Amazon Prime. It's not hard to find, which is so bizarre, because a lot of the times when I find these like, quote unquote hidden gem films, it's because they're fucking impossible to find, and I found some weird rip on YouTube or something like that, right?
Yeah,
something. But no, this is burned in
captions from a different language that is not the language of the film or the language we speak. So
no. this is out there, very easy to find, streaming for free in multiple places. So I'll jump right into it because we are going to talk about the story quite a bit, because I love some of the story elements, but most of the time I think I just want to talk about some really wild ass scenes, but also just some of the production elements, like the soundtrack we talked about, are fucking gorgeous. We start out with a lot of gravitas. We have this like really grand story with a flashback, and basically it's explaining that there's this old guy, which we know very little about, and we don't ever learn really anything about either. He's just a mystical old guy, and we just know that he had to battle a Wendigo back in the day with his coonskin cap on, and he was successful. He beat the Wendigo. We don't really know a lot about how he did it, but he did it. And then he had to create this like spiritual shield circle thing, while wearing his coonskin cap, and it's made out of like human bones and like skulls around in a circle, and then it's like an electric fence for the Wendigo.
Yep.
Like you bury your dog electric fence so it can't leave the yard, but he made it out of skulls, and it's specifically to keep the Wendigo in check. But now he is the quote unquote guardian, and his charge in life now is to live out in a little cabin out in the middle of nowhere. We learned that this is all taking place on Manitou Island in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which, if you've been to the UP, which I have spent a couple of trips up to the UP for work-related functions, it is the goddamn middle of nowhere. It is one of the more isolated areas in the in the mainland United States. It's, first of all, it's Canada, right? It's straight up Canada. It's a Canadian culture. Like it is more Canada than anywhere in Canada I've actually been. And it's way so thick, like extreme north of Michigan. Very, very isolated. And this is where it takes place. He's going to live in a little cabin up there, and he's just going to make sure that this little sweet bone circle that he created does not get interrupted in any capacity, because if so, that will allow the Wendigo to, of course, unleash his wrath, his storied wrath. He gets very old, right, very quick, and his face it's wild because there's a ton of, like I said, work that's put into this movie. Not all of the special effects are great, but they're all like pretty painstakingly done for something that happened obviously on a really small budget. Mm-hmm. Except for the old guy's face. They have an old man mask that appears to just be an over-the-counter Halloween mask.
Yeah,
it's slightly above that. If you've ever seen, what's that? This is just popping into my head, so forgive me, I don't remember the name of it. What's that Harmony Korine movie? It's like Dumpster Fuckers or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Trash Humpers.
Trash Humpers, Dumpster Fuckers. I was close.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah. Okay. You know the mask they wear in that? It's, it's very much on par.
Yeah. It's so close to, like, it's the in-between of when Johnny Knoxville does the old man makeup and an over-the-counter mask. It's the in-between of that. Like, it's still easy to tell whoever's under this makeup is not this old. And then they add a scar and an eye patch to it. And it's just, it's a silly old man looking thing, but I don't know. It works. It just works.
Yeah, it does. And it's not taken away from anything. I'll put it that way. We also get one of the sickest title cards I can remember. A long title card with like every single letter in the word Wendigo shooting in from out. And it's also like what comes across to me as like the type of music you might see in like a kung fu movie, but I think they meant for it to be a little bit more like Native American. Yeah. But it comes across a lot more kung fu to me. Yeah, it's action synths with like this driving drum beat, and then there is this indigenous flute sound in there that, like, it could waver. That's got to be what the title of it is, indigenous flute. Indigenous flute sounds. Yeah. Yeah, it wavers somewhere in between Native American and, Kung Fu, the legend continues. It's somewhere in there. Yeah. we jump right in to two gentlemen. We have Larry or Gary. I'm sorry. I am moderately convinced it was Larry, and then it changed to Gary later in the movie. I did not go back and check that, but I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
It seems like that, or just this actor fucks it up in this take.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Because it's supposed to be two guys out having drinks.
Yeah.
There's Gary, who is just kind of this clean-shaven nerd, and then he is with basically just a good old boy with long hair, and, you know, they're out, they got their camo on, they got their guns, they're just shooting at whatever, and getting drunk in the woods. I assume this is very, very popular among most Michiganders, especially ones in the Upper Peninsula.
Yes, I would agree. I would imagine this is the state sport, is just drunkenly shooting no trespassing signs.
Yeah, don't shoot each other is the sport.
Yeah, try not to. And their little outing of drunken revelry with their shotguns devolves from silly drunken shenanigans to a B&E to cold-blooded murder extremely quickly. Alarmingly quickly. And then you're like, okay, is Larry / Gary an absolute fucking sociopath? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But his behavior at this point, it's not consistent with his behavior in the rest of the movie. I will say that. Is consistent with his behavior in at least one other scene, but it's a wild character. So they kind of accidentally, but kind of not accidentally shoot, and Larry / Gary kills the old man, the guardian. They take him in the house. They lay him on his cot / bed or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" Larry / Gary has also shot one of the skulls. And he was like, yeah, before they shot the old man, it's like, now look what you've done, blah, 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 So he broke the circle. Of course, we know he doesn't know that. And now shit hits the fan fast. Like I said, within about 6 or 7 minutes, they are now being choked by the melty skinned old man's skeleton. And it is now full Evil Dead.
Yes.
And this movie is 100% that subgenre of basically Evil Dead remakes, right? Like this happened. This was a phenomenon that happened all over the world after the release of Evil Dead, and more so after Evil Dead 2, where there is literally an entire subgenre of horror that are just people essentially doing their take on Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Or Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
And this was a phenomenon that happened all over the world, internationally. That happened. This is the upper Midwest equivalent of that, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the Japanese one, Bloody Muscle Man from Hell. We've talked about that one before. And this one is like so clearly inspired by Evil Dead that they even have an Evil Dead 2 poster up in the film.
Yeah.
During it.
In their cabin. Their cabin has an evil. It's weird because it's very, any horror movie you've seen Evil Dead will immediately be able to tell that, like literally within the first 10 minutes of the movie. But then also there's a ton of not only references, like very blatant references, but also like homages to It's a Wonderful Life, and even a still image of It's a Wonderful Life at some point.
Yeah.
There is like probably 10 It's a Wonderful Life references too.
It's so confusing,
so strange,
and so silly. But like, it was just to do it. But as far as like the director is Tom Chaney, and he's also known for directing the film Mosquito, which also has just like a lot of insane. He wrote the film Mosquito. But like it is from 94, and it's known for its like insane makeup effects and everything. But this film apparently was filmed in 1988, but didn't come out until 1995.
Yes, good call. I did see that as well, and it looks like it.
Yeah.
This is a movie, and I was actually talking with some friends about this at Burgers the other night, and I was talking about this movie because they were saying, hey, what are you going to do for the podcast this week? And I told them, and I said, yeah, this is a movie from 1995, but definitely feels more like 85 than 95.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like 85 than 95. And so I did a little digging, but I didn't get deep enough, I don't think. I don't think I found the answer I was looking for, but some of at least one of the people on the special effects crew of this film went on to work on Army of Darkness. And so,
makes sense.
And there is a special thanks for Bruce Campbell in the credits of this film. And I'm just wondering, like, I didn't find the answer, but I'm just wondering if there was something that happened that helped them like sell this film.
Yeah.
Or, distribute it in some way that got it finished and put out in 1995.
Sure.
I don't know the full lineage of this, but like currently this film is distroed by Troma. I don't know if it's been distroed since 1995 by Troma, but
yeah,
that's who holds the rights now. And then most recently, Vinegar Syndrome has put out like a brand new Blu-ray of this film.
Yeah.
So I don't think what we see on Tubi, I know what we see on Tubi is not the Vinegar Syndrome release. We see the Troma release. The Vinegar Syndrome release apparently takes the original 16 millimeter negative and blows it up to 2K. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm 100% going to buy the Vinegar Syndrome version. Yeah. It's a foregone conclusion.
It's like $22 right now. So it's actually, not a bad deal.
Oh, that's not bad. It's for I've paid way more for Vinegar Syndrome releases. All right. So, So then Dave, who was the redneck friend, he gets snatched up by a giant hand that reaches in. First of all, I'm so excited when I see the giant hand.
Yeah.
That reaches in, giant puppet hand, reaches in, grabs him. And I will say, because later we've already spoiled it, you see a large scale. Now it's done with models, and it's a stop motion model of the titular Wendigo monster later. And I will say they did a great job of like the scale of the hand reaching in, grabbing Dave. And then we later see that, not later, like within a few more moments, we see that Dave's head has been decapitated, stuck on a spike. So Dave is no more.
Which I wanted to point out, this shot is like actually really well composed and has like some decent blocking to it, in that we see a side view of the cabin and we kind of see into the cabin, and then it pans to the left, and as it's panning to the left, we see Gary come out of the cabin, and the whole time in the foreground of these shots we're seeing the skulls, and it becomes like a little joke because you see one skull, two skull, Dave's head, and it's like, that's like the kind of, it punches above its weight for like being a well composed. Like most films of this era, or even films today, don't have this kind of cleverness about it. And like that, this is why I was already as well in love with the film, because in this first 10 minutes we get crazy skeleton fight, giant monster hand through a window, and a reasonably composed bit of blocking for a gag, and I'm like, great.
Yeah, it is. It punches above its weight is a great way to put it. It's just, you could tell the people who made this movie really cared about this movie, like wanted it to be good. Knew it was tongue in cheek, of course. It's a horror comedy for sure, but it's very earnest, and it is it's played straight, which I always love. So meanwhile, back on the mainland, the old man who was just killed and turned into a skeleton, he comes to the chosen one in her dreams. We don't know who this is. Comes to her in her dreams and tells her that basically she must complete the circle. She's very sweaty. We don't know who she is. We don't know what her connection to this old man is either. And we never learn.
Thank God. I thought I missed it.
No.
Okay.
Nope. We never learn. We never learn. It's never like, oh, he was my grandfather. Nothing like that.
That's what I just assumed. Like,
Nope. Never learned. I love that we never learned. She's very sweaty. She immediately accepts this task from this old man that comes to her in the dream in a white robe. So now we go back to a different cabin, just a regular old hunting cabin up in the UP on this island, and we've got Pete and all his boys, and they're having just a good old drunken hunting cabin circle jerk up there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just getting hammered, gambling, just doing deer camp type of stuff. So it's Gary, it's Pete, Gary/Larry, who Gary/Larry is not there yet, by the way. I should specify.
Yeah.
He's out in the woods. He's wandering around. He's not been introduced to this group. We've got Pete, we've got Jerry, we've got Lee, and then we have Tony, who arrives quickly. And Tony brings his buddy Leo. So Leo is apparently the first black human being that they've ever seen in the UP, because they all are stunned that he's black. And then there's this quick little awkwardness when they're surprised that he's black. And then he's like, well, what the fuck? Do you somebody like, I'll just leave if you guys are gonna be weird. Yeah. And they're like, no, stay, whatever. So first of all, this is when we start to get this great original soundtrack. We start to learn. There it is. I almost equate it to like Grand Theft Auto, like the later Grand Theft Autos, like Grand Theft Auto, basically like, I don't know when they first started doing this. I remember it in San Andreas for the first time, but like starting in like San Andreas and beyond, where they would have like literally like original soundtracks and like original songs composed for the game that were like kind of comical and lived within like the world of the game. It just reminded me of that so much.
Yeah. It has some of the, because I mean the later Grand Theft Autos, they do cultivate really good soundtracks, but then they also have just a lot of music that kind of like you said, narrates the world for you, and like has like commercials that are fucking tied to the world and everything. This soundtrack has a lot of those songs that just narrates what's going on, which is how we get 2 Chili songs. We get a song that is just called Monster Heart. While a monster pulls his heart out, we get another song about the March of the Dead when zombies show up. It's fucking wonderful. And I want to talk about how we get this soundtrack.
Okay.
Gary is played by Ron Ashton.
Yeah.
Ron Ashton was the drummer for the Stooges.
Yes.
And his brother also shows up in the background of another scene. Scott Ashton shows up as well. Mm-hmm. So obviously the two of them have connections to the music world, and they basically enlist the Avengers of the Michigan music scene to come out and just compose music for this movie. Like there's a band in there called the 3D Invisibles, who I looked them up. They're the ones who sing the March of the Dead song. I looked them up. They are just like a pure straight up like surf garage, monster rock type band. And you can, they're still out there playing. Like if Drew from Drew and the Blues listening, look them up and maybe play a show with those guys. Cause like all they do is sing fucking surf rock songs about monsters, and they're still doing it. Like they formed in 81. They're still doing it today. So check those guys out. But like, all these other bands are showing up for this, and so they're obviously composing some songs as well for it. And it just, it is one of the best soundtracks you can hear, because it's all composed by legitimate musicians, but also, God damn it, is it loud? It is like,
it's really loud.
The mix is fucking terrible.
The mix is troublesome. There are times when you can barely hear the audio. Like I had the which I oftentimes do anyway, but I had the captions on, closed captions on, just because there's times where you're never going to hear what they're saying otherwise, because the music is so loud. Sometimes it adds to things really well. Sometimes it distracts, but I will say my favorite one, besides the Chili song, at least the first Chili song, is the song that they have for Duke, who is a character we get introduced here pretty quickly. He's a great character. He is the local, like charter pilot, because a lot of places up here in the UP, especially in the winter times, you can't, get around very easily, except for by like this little, crazy biplane, guy who just takes you from island to island or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this particular island they're going to, they actually had to fly. Like, it's so remote, you have to fly to this little island. There's assumedly like one little tiny airstrip, and there's this guy Duke who basically taxis people back and forth in his little biplane. I'm going to call it Duke's theme.
Sure.
It's fucking fantastic. It's like a twangy country-ish song that's just talking about like drinking beer and like chasing girls or something, and like it's fucking hilarious.
It's just like I like bucking horses, I like fucking with cows, I like girls who flirt and doing a drink or two. It's like, it fucking is great.
It's so fun. We get the chosen one, who we now know her name is Sandy. She shows up to Duke's place, and there's this bad blizzard happening. And he keeps saying that it's not as bad as it was back in '66, but it's bad, and I ain't going out there tonight. And she offers him enough money, and he's dumb enough that he says, okay, fine. So he takes her up in the storm in the middle of the night off to Manitou Island. Then we get this scene, which I very much flirted with the idea of doing the joke that Leo does as his story at the beginning of this episode as my joke, but I thought better of it, because I was like, no one knows this movie, and they'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But Leo and Tony basically do this like joke / story that goes on for 5 to 10 minutes. I swear to God, it's a good 5 minutes of them basically making up this story about how they ran over a cat and a woman got mad on their way there, all this stuff. And eventually it's just him sucking all the other guys into believing them so that they can deliver the punchline. It's illegal to sell pussy in this state. That's the punchline.
It's a real close to Norm Macdonald moth joke is where they're going.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can see this is the kind of jocular environment here in the cabin. Everyone's having a good time. They're gambling, they're drinking, blah blah blah. We get the story from Sandy's, I don't know, flashback or something in her brain during the flight that tells all the story, like the extended story that apparently the old man told her about, she's the guardian now, and the Wendigo has sentinels that are going to come for her, and she has 2 days to complete the circle again, or she's going to die and everybody's going to die, and fucked. That's all we need to know, really. And in one of the most fun scenes in the movie, and such a ambitious scene that they shot, because first of all, this scene starts from the inside of the cockpit of Duke's plane, and you have Duke flying and Sandy sitting beside him, and you're inside the cockpit, and they've built this little cockpit, right? But it's very DIY looking, but it looks good.
Not even built. They might just be inside of a plane.
It could be. It looks a little pieced together, but it could be. But it looks great. They're in the plane. They're talking, chatting. The snow's blowing outside. Blah blah blah. It's very believable. And then all of a sudden, they keep pulling out to obviously a little model plane, and this flying demon dinosaur dragon looking thing just comes up behind the plane and attacks it mid-flight. And it's a fantastic scene. It's pulled off better than it needed to be pulled off, I will say.
Yeah, it is. It's so good because like the editing is pretty good. Like, yeah, it's a lot of miniatures happening, and they have essentially cue the winged serpent attacking them. I love, my note on this was just like, oh, okay, so Q the winged serpent is going to attack this plane while the Cowboy Bebop theme plays. Okay.
It is seriously, I wrote that. I didn't put Cowboy Bebop, but I should have equated it because I literally just watched that. It is this wacky, scatty jazz track playing as they're being attacked by, you think Michael Moriarty is going to pop out of fucking, he's going to be in the back of the plane. And then the thing opens up the plane, the back of the plane, reaches forward, rips the plane basically half apart, and bites Duke's fucking head off. Just bites his head off. It's so wonderful.
Yeah. Also in this scene though is like these, like when we're inside the cockpit, they have all the fake snow blowing on the outside of the cockpit, and they have like I'm pretty sure it is just an actual plane, and they have it probably parked in a hangar because they're filming this for like night. So it's just in a dark hangar. They have, kind of a crazy light on Duke's face, and the close-ups of Duke's face are so fucking good because the actor playing Duke is super sweaty. The camera is incredibly, like, it's all extreme close-ups, much like Sam Raimi, which is what we were talking about before when we said how this is, very much an Evil Dead kind of ripoff. Something I also forgot to mention, I was reading on the Wikipedia, this movie is such an Evil Dead ripoff that when it went to Japan, they gave it the same name that Evil Dead has in Japan, but with like a subtitle. So they tried to sell it as part of the Evil Dead series. They're just like, this movie is so much like Evil Dead, just give it an Evil Dead title. And then, so I can't pronounce what the Japanese name for Evil Dead is, but they just gave it that title plus probably like a winter themed subtitle. But so you get these wonderful extreme close-ups, and Duke is all sweaty and he has a fucking smoke in his mouth, and then his head gets ripped off, and Sandy is fucking screaming, the plane is going down, and there's
blood squirting everywhere out of his neck.
And it's just like, it's fun to edit back into a miniature. Like, you can tell it's a miniature, and there's a lot of miniatures in this film, but that also just speaks to the craft. Like, it's way better to see the miniatures and put together this entire scene rather than if the two actors had to act like without ever seeing the serpent attack the plane. You know what I'm saying? If they're just in the plane, like, what was that? Oh, it's on the wing. And then you never see what's on the wing or anything like that. It's way better to just see the silly little models. It's fun.
100%. It adds all the charm. And then even when they do the crash landing with the miniature, they take so much care to make it like slide into the snow and then like heave forward and then drop back down. Like, they really thought about the physics of how this plane would slide into the snow and then come to a halt. Get back down to the ground, right to the cabin, and our boy, I'm just going to call him Gary. I know he at one point he's Larry, but Gary,
he's just Larry to that one drunk.
So Gary busts in to the cabin in the middle of the night. Everyone's passed out, drunk. They've been up gambling, whatever. It's the middle of the night. They're all drunk, passed out. Gary busts in and starts just rambling and freaking out. And they're like, "Who are you, buddy?" And he's like, "We got to get the hell out of here. There's a goddamn Wendigo." He gets everyone caught up pretty quick on what's going on with the Wendigo and all that stuff. Of course, they don't believe him. They think he's crazy. He's drunk, whatever. And they're all like, "Hey, now that we're up, at least, like, we're hungry. You know what I mean? Anybody hungry? Yeah, we're hungry." So Leo goes, "Well, I brought my chili, so let's heat up some of my famous chili." Starts heating up some chili in a pot on the stove, on the wood burning stove. And as they're talking about what they're going to do and blah, 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 one of the little, I guess I'll call them sentinels, but they are little, this is a small version of a Q the Winged Serpent type little, it's somewhere between these versions they see from here on out are somewhere between Q the Winged Serpent and the jive talking imp from Sorry Babes and the Slyball Wallerama.
I I was wondering if they like somebody stole these off the set of a Carnosaur or something, because they kind of look like dinosaurs, but not really.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like
they look like
shitty.
Boglins a little bit too.
Yeah, the design is bizarre, but they're chili monsters is what they call them.
Yeah, because this one pops out of the chili pot. And the funniest thing you can do when you pop out of someone's chili pot is bite their fucking hand off. It's so funny. He just jumps off, bites his hand off. You don't see it coming at all. They do keep showing the chili, but you're like, what's going on with the chili? You know, what's going to happen here? This is certainly not a monster. It's going to up out of the chili, but sure as hell it does. Bites his hand off. He's immediately like, staring at his stump hand, which is hilarious. Such a great gag. And then another guy who, in retrospect, this is such a funny bit. The other guy, he hands him some of the chili, and he keeps showing that it's boiling. And it's boiling on the stove. It's hot. The chili's hot. So he hands one guy a bowl of chili, and he touches it. He's like, that's hot. And he puts on gloves to hold the chili. And so you think the chili is going to like burn them or whatever. No, Boglin jumps out, bites his hand off. But then the other guy who had the gloves on bursts into flames, full body burn. And now you're like, okay, now I know why they shot it with the gloves on, because they had to have the glove for the burn scene. But it is a real full body burn indoors in the cabin. And they're all just freaking out because a second ago, they just imagine you just woke up drunk in the middle of the night. You're heating up some chili. Now, all of a sudden, one guy's got his hand bit off, and the other guy's on fire. They're all screaming. And they eventually put him out with like I think it's a sleeping bag or something like that. But he's like severely burned. Meanwhile, we have this song. This happens, right? Those two crazy things happen. And everyone's reaction is just like varying wildly from like, wow, that was wacky, to, oh my God, what are we going to do? To Gary going, we got to get rid of this chili. That's like his instinct. And the song that's playing is clearly a ripoff of Prince.
Yeah.
Kiss, like the song Kiss by Prince. I think that's the name of the song, right? But it's called Bad Chili. But it's doing that little like that little guitar riff, and someone sounds like they're doing an impression of Prince.
Yeah, they're absolutely 100% doing an impression of Prince. I want to hear this song on its own. And I can't find the soundtrack. I found the other Chili song on its own to just listen to.
Yeah.
But I can't find any of the other songs to just to hear them on their own.
Yeah.
Because like this whole scene is chaotic. Even before the monster pops out of the pot, like you have Leo yelling about his chili, and Tony is going on and on about cannibals, and telling everybody what a Wendigo is. Yeah.
And
the whole time they're both being like overridden by the Chili Prince song. So like the soundtrack is louder than the dialogue, and you're trying to focus on the dialogue, but it's actually like three conversations happening at once. Like this is the opposite of mumblecore. Like mumblecore is people just like kind of lowly talking over each other, and you can't discern any of it. This film is shouting on top of it's shoutcore. It is just shouting on top of each other and then making the music louder than the shouting is fucking crazy. It, like you get overstimulated if you try to like pay attention. You can't learn. You can't learn.
Very much. Imagine if in Evil Dead there were like 4 ashes just screaming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. It's completely overwhelming. So once they all kind of figure out exactly like what they're going to do a little bit, they just put the severely burned guy, which I think is Jerry, maybe, I don't know. He's just
Jerry. It's got to be Jerry.
It's one. He's just kind of like a lack. He doesn't really come into play too much more. He gets burned pretty early. So they put him on the cot, and they've got him like kind of wrapped up. And Gary decides to cool down with a nice tall glass of porn. after that whole thing. After, the hand get bit off, all this stuff, he just goes, you know what? I got to cool down for a second. I need to look at some nudie mags. Leo bails, goes outside, and they're like, let him go outside. He lost a hand. He's bummed. Let him cool off. That's what they tell him. They said he's got to go cool off.
Right.
And the acting and the tone is just like beyond silly at this point. Tony tells this whole Bigfoot story about when he met Bigfoot. And meanwhile, Jerry's dying like just several feet away because he's been severely burned, like on 99% of his body. They hear Leo scream outside, and then we get this like it starts out, it sounds like an Iron Maiden riff a little bit,
yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, like things are about to gear up now again, because they keep telegraphing all their punches by starting these crazy songs. And then instead of, the Wendigo or whatever showing up, this random girl shows up, completely random. We've never seen her before. She shows up at the door, and she's very distraught, and she tells her kind of Wendigo story that's happening and her boyfriend and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, come on in, warm up, whatever. And then she's only been there for 10 seconds. She starts sweating profusely and then just pops her clothes off, and she's naked except for, like a lingerie underwear, but topless.
Yeah.
Pops her boobs out. And they replay the scene a couple of times to see her like drop the coat she's wearing and her boobs are out. And then they quickly realize she's the girl from the magazine.
Yeah.
That Gary was just looking at.
It's all for Gary. Like, you get multiple takes of her dropping the coat and blanket they wrapped around her, but it's also Gary can look at the magazine, look at her, look at the magazine, look at her.
He's doing these wild double takes, cartoonish double takes.
And then he finally gets it, and like the camera spins on the magazine, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And then they like cover her up with a sleeping bag, and then she's like kind of sinks into the sleeping bag, and I think it's Pete that's holding her. And then they're all kind of looking at each other in this like showdown scene where it's just like, again, super tight close-ups of their face, just eyes darting around back and forth at each other. And she rips out of the sleeping bag, and she's like a crazy witch, basically.
Mm-hmm.
She's like like this weird, emaciated, like half, mummified, crazy full latex witch, with her old witch boobs out, and then this is when you see the Evil Dead 2 poster, I think, in the background at this point.
Yeah, as they're fighting in the cabin, because and
there's a whole battle that ensues.
Yeah, because they're clearly doing the rip of Ted Raimi in the witch costume, in the old lady costume. And I think even in this scene, like it's not the woman we just saw. It is a man in this witch makeup and costume.
Yes.
So they're doing a full Ted Raimi at this point.
Doing like a wacky falsetto voice.
Yeah. But also the makeup is pretty good. Like it the makeup on this witch is good. Like it's not the same as the Evil Dead either, but you can tell that's just what they're doing.
Yeah. Yep. And then they eventually like pin her to the door by the neck with a pitchfork. And then she does the like, you're all gonna die and you're gonna eat each other and cannibalize each other, and and then she just self detonates. I actually rewound it because I was like, wait, did they shoot her and she exploded? And then I went back and it was no, she
blew
straight up. Yeah, she straight up suicide bombed them, except for instead of like blowing up the whole place, she just kind of almost like a David Copperfield type of like or like a ninja, like throw the smoke bomb down and then disappear kind of thing.
I was thinking of like a White Snake flash pot, and like it's just the thing you'd see at like an old whatever 80s metal like rock hair metal show, just like flash pots going off, just like Kiss, just like pah, and I'm out.
Pow, and then she's gone, and then you see it and she's back in the magazine. And she's making a scary face. It's just great. And we see Sandy. She's limping through the woods. She's escaped the wreckage of the crash landing of the plane. The guys go and find the plane, and it's a great forced perspective shot of the plane, like in the foreground, and all the guys up in the back. So it looks like there's actually a plane there, like crashed into the ground. So it's just some fun, camera trickery, to give us the suggestion that there is in fact a plane crash. I think it's Jerry. I forget who the hell it is.
It's Tony who finds Duke.
Okay. Tony is looking he hears a radio, and they're like, well, if we can find the plane, even if the plane crashed, the radio might still be functional. We could call for help. So they call for the he's looking for the radio. He can hear the radio. He's like, oh, it's great. This is great. I got to just dig it out of the snow. Digs out of the snow, instead finds Duke's headless body and has to fight it because it's, of course, reanimated at this point. Cut to, I think it's Gary and Leo. They find Sandy in the snow, so now she's been brought into the fold here.
Sorry,
Peter and go ahead.
I'm rewatching the scene of Tony getting attacked by the headless Duke. Yeah. And they kind of fall and collapse into the brush together. And I swore I saw this before, and I just watched it again to reconfirm. At one point, the cameraman has to reach in front of the camera real quickly to get some of the brush out of the way of the camera. So
I missed that.
You just see the hand pop in, like you see 4 fingers pop in and grab a branch and push it out of the way.
I love that.
They're either grabbing a branch or they just lose their footing because they are filming just out in the fucking woods. But yeah, it's just
in the snow too.
It's really funny.
Yeah. So Peter and I forget which other. I think it is Jerry at that point. Peter and Jerry, I think. No, because Jerry it's the one who got burned. I don't know.
It's Gary and Leo. Gary and Leo left Tony to search through the wreckage. So Gary and Leo are the ones who find Sandy, and then Gary runs off after he tasks Leo with taking Sandy back to the cabin.
Yeah, he's basically like carrying her back.
Jerry are.
Yeah, Pete and Jerry are back at the cabin, and they discover that whatever the burned guy's name is, because I think I was calling him Jerry, but who cares? The burned guy is dead. He has ceased breathing. And they are arguing about what to do with him. And there's this weird, there's one fun scene where they zoom in on his like burned face and he's clearly breathing still. But they had just talked about how he's dead. And they put him in a makeshift coffin. And Pete's like, we got to get him out of here. He's going to start stinking, blah, blah, blah. And the other guy's like, he's my best friend. And they try to make this like forced sentimental moment. It's bizarre. And the song that's playing during this is absolutely fucking wild. It's I didn't write down what the lyrics are, but I remember just the song. They try to do this like sentimental song, and it's just I couldn't believe they were trying to like add some sentimentality, some like a heart pulling your heartstrings moment in this insanely silly movie, but they go for it.
Yeah, they definitely go for it. It's fucking great. I believe the song is Darker Than You Know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's all about like how things are darker than you know right now. It's just, it's again, it's all on the nose and just telling you exactly what's happening on the screen at the same time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. And of course, that the dead guy in the coffin that's burned is going to come back to life. Like we already know that. And he's already talking in the coffin at this point. He's like, he says a line, which is bizarre. He says, "You let a dead man die." He does this wacky scene about why would you do this to me? You let a dead man die. But he holds the word die.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was going for there, but it was a wild acting decision. I appreciate it. Then this scene I really like because we're about to get our second chili.
Hell yeah.
And the cabin, what it appears to be happening at this moment is the cabin starts to eat the chili.
Yeah.
And because if you remember, Gary had dumped the chili. He was concerned that maybe the chili was the problem the night before. So he just dumped the chili out conspicuously just against the side of the house, like the front of the house. But like he didn't go out in the yard,
No.
out 10 feet away from the porch and dump the chili. He like dumped it on the exterior wall of the cabin.
They do this gag kind of twice because he comes out, he dumps the chili, then he goes back inside, then he comes back out again, grabs the pot and throws the pot into the woods, and then goes back in. Then they do it again with the pornography after she gets transported back in the magazine. He comes out, he throws like 2 handfuls of ripped up pornography into the wind, and then closes the door, but then comes back out again and throws another scrap that he just found. Like it, just a repeated joke. But now the house is reabsorbing the chili and it's going underneath the floorboards because it's chili monster time. Just chili.
Yeah. There's a couple of sentinels under the floorboards that are assumedly, consuming this chili. They break through and attack them. And then they have a song called Just Chili that is about chili and all the various toppings that they do not have for the chili.
Mm-hmm. This might be my new no gods, no masters fucking sentimentality. It is no beans, no onions, no cheese, just chili. No beverage, no crackers. And then they didn't have a third thing. So it's the song just has like a blank space and then it says just chili. And that's all the lyrics. And it fucking rules. It's the best song I ever heard. 10 out of 10. Get fucked on. Kendrick Lamar. Sing just chili.
Get fucked on. It's one of the most insane things because during this, it's an extended fight scene between these two monsters and the people in the house, and we're just hearing this song about chili, and it's like just chili, no onions,
no beans, no cheese,
just chili. It's fucking wild. They eventually shotgun both of the monsters who, you guessed it, explode into chili.
Yep.
Like you shoot, they blast their head off, and instead of blood spurting against the wall, it's just chili across the wall. Which the chili does appear to have beans, which is, in my book, a continuity error.
Yeah, a total goof. I hope that goof is on IMDb because it should be. Yeah. If it isn't, I'm going to see if I can add it.
Despite the lyrics of the hit track that plays during the scene, there is in fact beans in the chili.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep. Got to sign up to put that in there. Yep. There's only one goof on there right now, and it's not about the chili. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Got to add that one.
Sandy wakes up and she explains everything. Her acting, and I hesitate to do this because I don't want to sit here and say like, oh, the acting is not good, because some of the acting it's just appropriate for the movie, right? But Sandy, her acting is her Midwestern accent, along with her like just genuinely terrible acting, is a lethal combination, and I love every line she says because she has this strong upper Midwest accent, plus just genuinely being a bad actor, and it's so charming.
Yeah, it's weird how like she is the chosen one, but she really does not factor into this movie a whole lot. Not the way that you would think, a chosen one character would, because obviously we're focusing on Gary, who is, he's the star because he's the fucking drummer for those Stooges. So yeah, of course we focus on him, but then we also just focus on everybody else, so much that there isn't room for Sandy.
No, we get tons of Pete. We get tons of Leo. we get like there's just a lot of screen time for a lot of performers.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's just not that much for Sandy to do. But besides perhaps like in the final sequence, but yeah, she does play a relatively small role despite being the chosen one. Despite her pleading, Pete does decide that he's gonna he's got to get off the island. So he decides he's going to start out on his own and walk across the frozen lake, which she says it ain't going to work. But he says, well, it's my only chance. I'm going to go do it. Now we get back to, like I said, Gary/Larry has been a fairly, I don't know, that's just a sentence. That's just struck me as funny. He's been a fairly tame character compared to the psychopathic drunk killer that you thought you were getting at the beginning of the movie. You were getting him like he would fit in with the bad guys in RoboCop. Like that's how just like unhinged and evil he was in the first scene. Since then, he's just been like another one of the guys trying to survive. Except for he goes back to his old antics where he runs into just a regular random hunter and just has this absolute mental breakdown, assaults, and then like tries to like do a citizen's arrest on this random hunter. And then eventually the hunter just like punches him in the face. And then he's just like, well, you're going to get eaten. Fuck off. Bye. And just like walks away. But I want to know, like, I would love, this is probably too much to ask, but I would love to know why that sequence didn't need to be there. But it is definitely a bit of a Gary showcase scene of him really showing his crazy acting antics. But is there any other reason? Like, we never see that other hunter again. He doesn't play into, nor does that scene play into the plot at all.
No.
It just seemed like it was thrown in there just to get, Gary some more, wacky lines.
Yeah, it really just feels like filler. Also, the actor playing this hunter looks a lot like Mike from Red Letter Media. I mean, it's not.
I can see. Yeah,
it's not, but it's just like being that Michigan and Wisconsin are so close, and similar people of genetic phenotypes. I assume that they're all just related in the same way up there.
Probably, he does look like him. He looks like it's him, but like perhaps like 6'6".
Right,
like he's very tall.
Yeah, he's like a taller Mike from Red Letter Media. It's very funny, but that guy never comes back in, and I don't know the reasoning. I can't figure it out, because it's weird that Gary would break off from Leo when Leo is taking Sandy back to the cabin, but they break him off so he can go have this scene, and it's like, whatever. Like, I don't know. It fills time and gets the movie to. It does. I mean,
this is like an hour, right? This is like an hour 20 movie, so I get it. They might have been trying. But I like it. It doesn't need to be any longer than it is, certainly. Despite my positive feelings about it, it doesn't feel short or abrupt. The ending, I will say, feels a little abrupt, but I don't fault it for it. But we'll get there. They do this which I enjoy, where they keep cutting back to the local TV news reports, and they're in black and white, and they're like just this local tiny small town news reporter reporting from Bedford Falls, which of course is the town famously from It's a Wonderful Life. And they have people and a lot of references during these sequences to It's a Wonderful Life. And
it's in black and white.
And it does seem to be from a completely different era. And again, none of this stuff really plays into what's happening. It's just basically them talking about, a plane went down. Or not even that they went down, but they just lost contact with a plane going, from the mainland and, near Bedford Falls to Manitou Island. They're interviewing random people like outside of a pub in Bedford Falls, and they're just doing gags and stuff. And I'm just like, doesn't really have anything to do with anything.
No.
But it's entertaining enough.
Yeah, I think the funniest part is that it's all just one town's concern for Duke. Like nobody kind of gives a shit about any of the hunters. They're not, the hunters aren't brought up. Obviously they don't know Sandy was on the last trip of the plane. So they don't know any of that. All they know is, hey, Duke ain't around. We can't get in contact with Duke. We love Duke. Hey, here's Duke's son. Duke's son's like, don't worry about it. My dad just gets in the shit.
Yeah, Duke's son is not non-concerned about the whole thing. He's also, I like that Duke's son, as with apparently everyone in the town, is just at the bar. So like they just go to the bar and they're going to be able to interview anybody because they're, where else would they be?
Right.
So Leo and who else? Someone else go looking for Gary and Tony. I think it's Jerry, right? Leo and Jerry go looking for Gary and Tony at this point.
It's Lee.
Leo and Lee, because Jerry is the one who got burned. Right. Leo and Lee go off looking for Gary and Tony. Sandy stays back in the cabin, and Sandy's mom randomly shows up to the cabin, which is not suspicious at all, of course. And she's talking in a very unnatural way. And you're like, of course, this is just more Evil Dead stuff. They're just trying to get her, this is the Wendigo, the spirit, whatever, fucking with her. Cut back. They find Tony, and I think is who they found was Tony. But he's no, because Tony pops back in at the end. Who is tore in half and has his dang head's a skeleton.
See, I don't think it's anybody that we've met, because I thought it was supposed to be the hunter that had that scene with Gary, but it's not it's not the same clothes. So I think it's just a corpse they just put out there and didn't have I don't know. They just didn't keep track of continuity on that.
Because Leo acts like he knows who it is, though.
It might supposed to be Tony, but Tony shows up later and doesn't look like that. So.
Right. But he is dead.
Yeah.
And he's anyway, it could have really been any of them at this point. It doesn't really matter that much, but they do find him. And he's like, I ate his skin off his face. He's like, Leo's freaking out about it.
A great close up though on the skeleton face though. It's a great close up there.
And Leo's just very clearly describing what's scary about the scene. He's like, they tore him in half and they ate the skin off his face. The cannibals did it. He's just going on. Sandy's mom turns all gross and yucky and has 6 arms and has an Evil Dead. Basically, she's just talking. It's of course the mom. It's not the mom. Why would Sandy's mom just show up in this random place?
Right.
And then all of a sudden she's got great classic green mouth. Then she's covered in just a whole series of different colors of goo.
Very slimes.
And then they're embracing. And then all of a sudden, instead of just 2 arms around Sandy, it's 6 arms. And
turns into a real mama pede.
Yeah. And Sandy quickly shoots her. And she does a whole Wizard of Oz, I'm melting gag, which was horribly dated, even in 1988 or whatever. Gary shows up and he wants to know what happened out there. And Leo and Nick are still in the woods, but they're approached by something. We don't know what it is yet. We don't see what it is. Or we just get a quick I don't know if it's a shadow or a glimpse or something, I forget, but we don't really see what it is. Larry says that he can take Sandy, or Gary, whatever his name is, says he can take Sandy to the circle. He knows what the circle is. He's like, oh, you need to go to the circle with the skulls, the skull circle. Oh yeah, I remember a skull circle. I could take you there. But just as she's like, really, can you? Wow, we might survive. A sick ass giant stop motion Wendigo starts just pounding and fucking up the cabin. And just smashing it with a tree, just picks up a tree and starts wailing on it. It looks sick as fuck.
It's awesome.
Because the Wendigo design is it looks like a what's the fucking Harryhausen? Is it Centaur?
Yeah.
Is this? Yeah. It's. I'm trying to remember from the old, stop motion movies. It looks like a centaur, but it's, I think, a deer is its body.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got like a human torso with arms, and then crazy deer face and crazy big antlers.
Yeah.
And like big jacked, upper body, a human upper body, and starts just tearing into the house. Sandy had like, I guess Pete, I think it grabs Gary at this point and just like smacks him against the house or something, or runs off with him. I don't know.
Well,
but Gary gets got.
Yeah. What happens is Pete shows up because Pete had been out, and like Pete shows up with hypothermia as like all the walls are being knocked down. So while Sandy's trying to pull Pete in, the Wendigo punches a hole in the roof and snatches up Gary.
That's right.
And runs off with him, and just like, that's a wrap on Gary.
Yeah. And Sandy at this point decides to go full Voyage of the Mimi on Pete. She's got to like get naked in the sleeping bag with him to keep his body temperature up, which is a weird opportunity for this scenario. But she's really concerned about getting his body heat up, even though a giant monster just ripped a hole in the ceiling of the cabin. Gary does crawl back in, but he's spitting a bunch of, Wendigo nonsense at this point. So, he's dead and he's fully, taken over. Pete blasts him. We get the climactic, final, Gary scene there. Then the burn guy, which I think is Jerry, busts out of the coffin. And they shoot him, and then Tony comes in, and Tony's like pleading with them, and Tony's like, listen, yeah, we're dead. The Wendigo killed us, but we're like victims just like you are, so don't shoot us.
Shoot him anyway.
Of course they shoot him. Shoot him anyway. Now Pete and Sandy, things are rapidly spiraling towards the end of the movie here. Pete and Sandy try to escape. But the Wendigo they're trying to escape, or she's trying to get to the house where the circle is or whatever. They don't really explain at this point, but they do end up at the old man's house where the circle is that she needs to complete with the skulls and everything. The Wendigo has like posted up in the what's remaining of the old man's house. No roof on her, but it's basically like kind of four walls standing there. And this is all miniature with the stop motion happening. And Pete's like, let's get the fuck up out of here. And Sandy's like, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to walk in. And the old man like comes to her in her, mind's eye or whatever. Can't hurt you. You're the chosen one or whatever. So she just kind of walks up on it. It throws like lightning at Pete.
Yeah.
But you're like, whoa, since when can it throw lightning? We're just learning this late in the game that it can throw lightning. Sandy sees that there's a hole in the ground in the cabin, and it's like a hole or portal to hell kind of situation. And then just over in the corner, she sees the final skull just kind of like sitting. It's literally the only other object in the cabin,
right,
laying on the ground. She goes up, gets it, puts it on the spike, completes the circle again. And of course, the skulls all start like looking at each other. Their eyes are glowing, a lot of lightning going around and everything. The monster goes up to kill Pete, but Leo comes out of nowhere, distracts it just long enough to save Pete. Now the circle is powering up at this point, and the effects fucking rule, by the way. I love the way this is shot. I love the way it looks. It's we didn't really talk about it that much, but like overall, most of the set pieces of this movie, I feel like are very dramatically lit, but very effectively lit as well.
Yeah. It's really dramatically lit. And then also, again, they didn't really have to do this, but they did it anyway, is a lot of these cabin exteriors are also done in miniature, and it helps for the full-size Wendigo to interact with those miniatures. But even then, we've seen them before, not without the Wendigo, as just like exterior shots. There's a really kind of cool one earlier in the film that is just the exterior of the cabin with a big moon in the background. And it actually kind of reminded me of Qui-Gon with the way they did the matte, they do the matte paintings and stuff in that. And I believe there's some
we
miniature
didn't
work
even mention
there.
that.
But yeah,
we didn't even mention that. There was some cool matte painting backgrounds in this movie too. I love all the exterior shots of like the cabin in the storm, and it just looks really cool. It has a very specific, cool vibe to it.
This also reminds me of, but I can't think of the fucking name of the movie. It's that movie where the guy goes to hell and he has to fight the stop motion demons with the sword and the shit, and everybody gets thrown in the lava, and they're throwing people in the lava for 15 fucking minutes over and over.
Oh my god! I keep wanting to say, was this the Pit? Was this the second Pit movie?
No, it's like something. Hell
I know
Forever.
what you're thinking. I'm imagining it with throwing all the people in the lava.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking of other stop motion movies. Not the Pit. Oh God, what was the movie that? Jesus Christ, what was the second movie? It was the one I watched with Maeve that we talked about around Christmas time. I keep wanting to say the Pit. It's not the Pit.
No.
we watched the first one, and now I'm thinking, is that the second one that we're thinking of here?
Yeah.
Shit. Anyway. So the Wendigo tosses Pete, and it's funny because they're like, we've won, but like the Wendigo hasn't got the memo that it's over. So and the old man's ghost like, whoa, bro, you're done. Chill.
Yeah. I like how the end of this film is the reverse opposite of the end of Return of the Jedi, because the end of Return of the Jedi is, Emperor Palpatine shooting lightning and breaking up his family and being really rude and everything. This movie ends with, instead of an old guy in a black robe, an old guy in a white robe shooting lightning and being like, hey, Sandy, you can do it. You're the best. Do it. Yes, you've got the power to fight the Wendigo.
And also like scolding the Wendigo for like not following the rules.
Yeah. He's like,
you're done, dude. You're done. Chill.
Yeah, he's like, get back in your hole. And the Wendigo's like, no. And he's like, well, you don't want to get back in your hole, bro. Then you're going to die.
Yeah.
I also want to point out,
yeah,
the Wendigo maquette is on screen long enough now that you can see it has a bush.
I did not notice that.
It has a bush.
I love that.
At the back of its legs, for no reason at all, it has a bush.
Sick. You think that when they built that, they were like, yeah, let's give it a bush.
Yeah, they're just like
100%. I'll double check on the bush next time around. Yeah, the Wendigo is like just basically being stubborn, and the old man and Sandy have to combine like their spirit bomb to explode in a full on anime sequence here to explode the Wendigo. And they do. They explode. It explodes, which is exactly how you end a Wendigo. You spirit bomb him and he explodes. And then of course the hell portal closes. And also like now Sandy's like face wound, because she had this giant, like really dramatic, huge gash on her cheek from the plane crash earlier. And there's a sequence of her like in the mirror, like crying and trying to like clean the blood off her giant wound. And now it's healed. Like for some reason, when she killed the Wendigo, all of her wounds healed. And then the old man basically says, it's like a game over, really, at like the end of like a Super NES game.
Yeah.
It's like, you have won, you have defeated the Wendigo, you are the best, and you have done it, and congratulations. Also, you might have to do it again someday.
Yeah.
Credits.
Would you like to start a new game plus?
Yeah. It's like that. It's just like, would you like to play again on harder difficult? It's a very abrupt ending. I really thought, just thinking of how like just the general approach to making this movie. I thought that they were really gonna milk out the ending, you know, and like Sandy and Pete have like a romantic moment maybe.
Right.
And they end up like a helicopter comes and saves something. No, it's just like, that's it. Wendigo's dead. You have won. Congratulations. But you are still the Guardian, and you might have to do this again someday. Credits.
That's it.
Movie over.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I mean, what, you know, like you said, what else more can you really add to the ending? You know, it is weird that we never really see Pete or Leo again, but at the same time, what does that really add? What does it do?
Who fucking cares? Right. Who cares?
Who cares? She won. She's the best.
They beat the Wendigo. Game over. As long as one character survives, you win.
That's it.
Them's the rules. So, you know, do yourself a big fucking favor, guys. You've earned it. Okay. Go and go on Tubi, go on Amazon Prime, wherever. Go on Vinegar Syndrome and buy this. You need to own this movie as well. This is definitely a movie you need to own. Like I don't have that many movies in the, like, you know, fully restored 4K versions of it, you know. Demon Wind, you know, I think of this in the vein of a movie like that, where it's like, there is a distinct chance that someday this movie is just not going to be available anymore anywhere. And so you need to have a physical copy of it. Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I would.
Oh God, it does have a bush. You just lost the picture. A giant bush. Yeah. I didn't even notice that.
It's huge unkempt bush. I mean, it's a Wendigo. What is it going to do? Like, its arms can't reach back there. So yeah.
No. What do you expect a Wendigo to manscape himself? Come on.
He needs his chili monsters to cut his bush down.
Yeah, you fucking killed his only means by which to manicure himself.
I would be really curious about the Vinegar Syndrome release of this, mainly because I want to hear what the fucking sound mix is. Like, it's
if it's any better.
Yeah, it's quite obvious. The Troma release is, you know, I mean, it's fine. Like, it's watchable, it's fun, but like, I wonder how much improvement the Vinegar Syndrome release adds to this.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out when it gets to my house, because I'm 100% going to order it. All right. Any other fun final thoughts here? Aside from obvious, go watch it. Any other fun final thoughts about Wendigo : Frostbiter : The Wrath of the Wendigo?
Not really. No, it's interesting how much this film kind of predicts a lot of stuff, because like the Wendigo design winds up looking a lot like the Jotun from The Ritual, way ahead of it, you know, like years and years ahead of it. But like, for some reason it seems like this could have influenced it, just maybe. I don't know.
I could see that, because I when I saw that, I was like, wow, that does remind me of oh gosh, what was the movie from just a few years ago that used a similar design? Shit. Was it The Ritual?
Yeah, I just said that. You weren't listening.
Oh, well, no, well, my headphones keep popping up and going, your Bluetooth is now connected. And then
no.
And all that's all I can hear from
I was saying it looked like the Jotun from the Ritual.
All I was hearing was my headphones going, your Bluetooth is now correct, for the literally 100th time in this recording. It's never done this before. I don't know what it's connecting to, but it keeps doing that. Anyway, yeah, it does. I wonder if there is if there is some sort of bit of literature, because I don't know a ton about the Wendigo. I know there's a tie-in to like the whole like Skinwalker Ranch thing, right? And people like equate that to the Wendigo. I don't know a ton about it. I've read the who wrote the Wendigo, the original Wendigo short story. It was the same guy who did it's the same freaking old weird fiction guy who did
Dean Koontz.
Oh no, it wasn't Dean Koontz. Algernon Blackwood.
Oh, okay.
He did The Willows.
Oh, okay.
That's like his big, like, kind of one of the most influential, bits of kind of weird fiction and even folk horror. But anyway, I've read that, and I've read a couple other things, see some other movies about the Wendigo, but I don't ever remember that specific design, with the deer body and everything being called out. But there's got to be something that predates this. I can't imagine that this movie was the first one to like put that design out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it may be possible. It's hard to tell, because like a lot of time I've seen, like in the Marvel comics, there's a Wendigo character, but it's depicted as almost like a Sasquatch. There's the references to the Wendigo in the movie Ravenous, but you never see a creature. Larry Fessenden made a movie in 2001 called Wendigo, but I don't think, obviously that's 2001, so it's after this film. So yeah, it's a creature that's never been really pinned down in a way that is definitive. Like a Sasquatch is a Sasquatch is a Sasquatch,
Well, a lot of the description, I mean, I'm just looking even just on Wikipedia here, and it's describing it, and it sounds very much like a Sasquatch.
Yeah. Some
giant humanoid, smells bad, like it's a dang skunky.
Right, yeah. So sometimes it's a Wendigo is a Sasquatch. Other times it is kind of like a half man, half deer. But I've seen it more depicted as like a man with a deer skull, rather than, and especially not giant, not like a giant creature. Yeah. It's more of, along the lines of what you're saying about a skinwalker. It's like a man that would transform into, something with a deer skull, and then maybe cloven, the cloven backwards turned knees, like a deer, like a deer hoof. But yeah.
That's kind of the Algernon Blackwood one is like, it's more of a skinwalkery type of spirit in the woods, type of evil, malevolent woods spirit. But in this one, it's a giant half deer, half man skeleton with a giant bush. So get used to it, America. This is the new Wendigo.
Get used to it. If your Wendigo don't look like this, you can get out.
You can get your shit and get out.
Speaking of Sasquatch, though, the director of this film, Tom Chaney, directed a new movie simply called Squatch, and it should be releasing sometime soon. I saw put a trailer out for it in 2023, and I looked at his Instagram, and he was promoting it coming out soon. So be on the lookout for Squatch. It looks a lot more serious, but he still has some of those Sam Raimi extreme close-up hallmarks. So, yeah.
Well, I hope that there's some chili content in it, is all I hope. Stay true to your roots, and make sure we get some chili songs, some chili-related content. That's all I ask.
Fucking Wendy's should just use that all the time.
That song?
Just all the time.
It should be like, how Burger King has that like BK have it, the super fucking obnoxious song that everybody hates with the guy from The Office in it, singing it. Just do that. This should be Wendy's.
Should be Wendy's new song.
Yeah.
No beans.
Really, either version would be all right.
Just chili.
It's just chili. All right. Well, that was an absolute treat. Go watch it. Any final? Oh, and also go out and watch. Speaking of watching something, if you're looking for something to watch this here week, go out and watch our movies for our March Showdown episode, and then go sign up for the Patreon, and then come join us in the Discord and listen to us talk about them. We're going to talk about Crimson Peak from. No, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about Crimson Peak from 2015. We're going to talk about Black Sunday from 1960. And of course, we're going to talk about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1900. Anything else, Steve, before we wrap this sumbitch up?
Nope.
Yeah.
I don't got anything else.
All right. Go watch this movie immediately. Drop everything you're doing. Call off work. Do whatever you do. For the Halloween's Forever crew, I'm Brian.
I'm Wendigo.
Bye.